Are you ready for the best in Sooner football recruiting news? Then it's time to get locked in with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Whether you're a recruiting doomer or sunshine pumper, text the guys on the First Liberty Bank text line at 405-651-3439. And call your shot on the Riverwind Casino jackpot line at 405-329-9000.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Oh, yeah, let's get it rolling. Parker Thune, Parker Lane with you today on Locked In. Grayson is out both today and tomorrow. He'll be back in the saddle on Monday, but until then, you get an all-Parker show. My man, how you doing? You tired of me yet through 2 hours?
How could I be tired of somebody that I have such a kinship with? The Parker-Parker relationship. We got a text line in the last hour, by the way. Parallel Parkers?
Parallel Parkers, that's a good name. That's a good
Yeah.
show name. Yeah, that could work. That could work. If this ever becomes a permanent endeavor, that will be strongly considered as the new show's moniker. No question. Hey, we want to hear from all of you on the First Liberty Bank text line at 405-651-3439. Hit us up. The show is brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Family-owned and operated. Dorsey Jones, many of their employees have been with the company for 20-plus years. So many experienced, knowledgeable folks out there that are eager to assist you before, during, and after the buying process. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, you should know GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today. So check out Dorsey Jones in El Reno. David the Waffle Man says, Grayson is sitting on the couch next to Mike for the next 2 days watching the Masters. No, I think, is he at OAB today? Is that where?
Yeah, that's where he's at right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's on his schedule tomorrow. He hasn't said. I don't think he's disclosed the details of his absence tomorrow. But, yes, I believe he and Connor Pasby are representing the ref today at the OAB ceremonies. So that is why Grayson is out of the picture today. But you got two Parkers. What else do you need? Evan from Blanchard says, got the exciting whites today. Dang right. We are as white as it gets.
I call dibs on Chardonnay. Do you want to be Pinot Grigio or do you want to be like a sangria or something?
Whatever you want to label me, man. I don't know nearly enough about wine. I don't know nearly enough about wine. One star Jeremy says, Parker and Parker sounds like a law firm. It kind of does. Bobby from the 217 asks, who is this other Parker feller? Well, if you didn't get the 411 on Parker Lane at the beginning of the 12 o'clock hour, what are the key items here? From Mustang, Oklahoma,
Yep.
a graduate of the University of Alabama, which
Roll
we have
Tide.
forgiven him for. And what else? What else do the people need to know?
I love a good book in a rainy day. I've watched The Gilmore Girls like 17 times. No, I'm kidding. Absolutely not.
my goodness, I was like-
No, that's a
I was
joke.
starting to get really uncomfortable. It's like, oh, no. We're
Nah,
going to be able to do this tomorrow.
I just love SEC football. I've been covering it for a long time, back into my collegiate days and even to here. So that's pretty much all you need to know about me. You'll figure it out. Why would I expose all my mysteries so soon? So soon.
Have you ever actually watched the Gilmore Girls?
So my wife watched the first season, and I, as a good husband, sat with her and watched the first
Really?
season. All of the characters are insufferable. They're just, it's like bad decision after bad decision. It's just a comedy of miscommunication, and I didn't want any part of it. So they're all just terrible people. Don't
My
watch it.
wife is actively watching the Gilmore Girls. That's kind of her background noise show, which is fine by me because, I don't have to pay attention to it. And if there's background noise, I don't really clue into its presence anyway. So I'll just be doing stuff around the house or like out in the yard, and she'll have episodes of the Gilmore Girls running. Sometimes I'll take 30 seconds and kind of pause and take stock of what's going on in a given episode.
Watch 5 minutes, and see if you're not just immediately repulsed by the terrible decision-making process of any main character.
Oh, brother.
This has gotten way off the rails, by the way. We are
we're,
so
trust
far
me,
in
we're
left
not
field.
going to talk about the Gilmore Girls for the next hour. Don't worry. Esrod Boomin asks, have we got a ginger Parker?
No.
He's not a ginger, but he does have a mustache.
It's true.
He does have a mustache.
I can confirm the mustache and the round spectacles. So if you see like Harry Potter's second cousin from Alabama walking around, don't be afraid to say hi.
Oh, man. Okay. I solicited your questions on the First Liberty Bank text line, and you guys delivered. A 405 listener simply asked, and I think this is a good question to get us started here on the show because, as I mentioned leading into the hour, man, I don't know how much there is left right now to break down that we haven't already discussed on this show from the recruiting trail. Oklahoma has 20 commits. You guys that listen on a regular basis have been up to speed on every single one of those 20 commits. We've broken them down in real time, their additions, the significance therein. But with 20 commits already on board here on April 9th, there's not that much work left to be done for Oklahoma in the 27 cycle. A lot of their key targets are leaning heavy in OU's direction and have official visits booked. And so there's not a whole lot left that I can surprise you guys with on a day-to-day basis.
I think that no news is good news at this point. Right,
it is, man.
You don't want any decommits. Obviously, you're not trying to stir the pot any. But I think that a sort of a concrete look at the team is exactly what the coaching staff wants at this point. They don't want any surprises.
Yeah, and I mean, Oklahoma has the number one class by a mile in the 2027 cycle, and so you're exactly right. No news is good news, but also we got to do an hour of radio every day at 2 p.m., so we got to have stuff to talk about. And so we want to spend this hour talking about what you guys would like us to talk about. And so let's hit our first question from a listener in the 405. If there's one uncommitted recruit out there that you really want the Sooners to get, who would it be? My answer has not changed in this regard for several months now. I would say since about January, my answer to this question consistently has been Bodie Sparrow, the 4-star safety target out of Kaysville, Utah. And he was a guy that had some pretty good sophomore tape. His junior tape was unbelievable. His junior tape was statement tape. And it was at that point, upon watching Bodie Sparrow's complete junior tape, that I realized, oh, man, this dude's going to be really, really, really good wherever he lands. And Oklahoma has led the race for Sparrow for quite some time. And he's big on Oklahoma. Oklahoma's big on him. His good buddy, Crew Jones, is committed to OU already in the 2027 cycle to play defensive end. The Sooners have made strong inroads out west. And at this point, they definitely have the inside track for Sparrow. So I would say that is a likely addition coming down the pike. I don't know when it's going to happen. It could be before official visits that he commits. It may not be until he gets back on campus for that OV in, I believe, late May that he could commit. But I think he winds up in OU's class, and I think that's a major boon for the Sooners, who already have 5 of the top 55 players in the Rivals 300 committed. Bodie Sparrow would make 6.
That's impressive no matter how you look at it. I mean, in any given year, to have that sort of backfill to a team that maybe doesn't have question marks, but a team that certainly has its eyes set on greatness this year, coming off of a year where you didn't maybe hit where you wanted to be, got knocked out of the first round of the playoffs, you're wanting to make that deep playoff push. Any help that you can bring in will be valuable. So at this point, I think that they should just continue to stay the road, right? I don't know if there's any like dream recruit that I'm looking at. Obviously, a lot of guys still undecided. But I don't think that there's anybody that besides, I mean, you gave the obvious answer, but besides that, I don't know if there's anybody that Oklahoma has their fingers in the pies of that I'm super just like fired up, ready to go to battle for right now.
A lot of those guys are already committed.
Yeah, exactly.
Cooper Hackett, Caden Penny, Cooper Witten. Who else you got? Damari DeJean, the speedy wideout out of the state of California. Taven Epps, highly regarded linebacker from the West Coast as well. It's an outstanding class. Seneca Driver, the number 1 tight end in the country. And when all of these guys get to campus next fall, many of them will get to campus next January because the standard operating procedure for most high school football recruits these days, at least the public school ones, is that they're enrolling early and going through spring practice with the team. But this has the chance to be the type of class that can help Oklahoma break through and snap that championship drought. And it's going to take more than a singular class. You don't have all of your answers. You don't have all of your solutions contained within this single class that makes up what will in December be Oklahoma's next crop of signees, assuming they all stay locked in. But hence the name of the show,
but
Locked In. But yeah, man, the difference makers, the real difference makers that are still out there that Oklahoma is making an effort to land in this 27 cycle, the guys that you would consider to be potential year one contributors, I think Sparrow's certainly at the forefront of that conversation in no small part because Oklahoma's getting ready to roll things over at safety once again. Peyton Bowen's going into his senior season. Michael Boganowski's going into his junior season. So you will graduate one starting safety at the end of this coming year, and you will graduate the other starting safety at the end of next year. And so it's about time you start to figure out who the next generation is at that position. And I think we knew from a pretty early phase in their careers at Oklahoma that Boganowski and Peyton Bowen were on that type of trajectory. It's tough to tell right now whether those answers already exist on Oklahoma's roster because Nico Jandro comes in as a 3-star guy that probably needs a bit of development before he's going to be ready to throw into the fire on Saturdays. And Markel Ford is a really physically college-ready player, but he's been battling injury, hasn't yet practiced this spring, and so whenever he does get on the field, he's going to be behind the curve. That's just kind of a natural consequence of missing spring ball. And so depth at safety is, I shouldn't say a concern right now, but definitely not where it needs to be in the long term for this program, and that's part of the reason why Oklahoma has placed such a high emphasis on landing 2, potentially 3 big-time dudes.
The thing is that puts you in the same boat, though, as like 90% of the country. Not everybody has these 1 or 2 guys that come in, transfer in even as freshman, sophomore, and are set and primed to be long-term assets for a team. Sooners are behind the ball in terms of where they have been, but I think that they're right on track, at least in terms of the strides that they're making, to go and get some guys, to go and sort of, what was the old saying with the Patriots? They don't rebuild, they reload. I think that that's what Oklahoma's trying to do right now.
Yes, that's exactly what they're trying to do. And they're going to have to reload in the near future at safety specifically. I mean, Omarion Robinson is a nice depth guy there at safety for Oklahoma. They're going to be able to play Reggie Powers some there, but if we're talking true full-time safeties on scholarship at Oklahoma, there are only 5 of them right now. It's Boganowski, it's Bowen, it's Omarion Robinson, and it's Markel Ford and Nico Jandro. Unless I'm forgetting anybody, which I don't think I am, off the dome, like that's it. And so the Sooners have Jalen Scott committed in the 27 class already. 4-star kid out of Mobile, Alabama, your old stomping grounds.
Okay, I didn't stomp around Mobile, but go on.
What do you do in Mobile, if not stomp?
You go to the fish fry. What'd you call it?
Oh, Felix's Fish Camp?
There you go. The fish
Dang
camp.
right you do. Man, I'm looking forward to going down there this fall and watching Jalen Scott and Jamison Roberts because I will be eating at Felix's. Yes and amen. Rob Booman wants to know, how's it going with Bodie Sparrow's cohort from Utah with the neck moniker? Yeah, that is Uhila Wolfgram. Been talking about him over the last week or so. He is the latest, the most recent offer for Oklahoma in the 2027 cycle. He's a guy that they like a lot. Converted rugby player. That's what he grew up playing, was rugby. Another detail I kind of like with regard to this kid is that he's the youngest of 6 children. And when you're the youngest of 6, man, you just, by necessity, you have a little bit of tenacity to you.
You have to fight just to get your dinner in homes like that.
It shows up on Wolfgram's tape. I think the school that's going to be hard to overcome is Michigan there. Because that's obviously the old Utah staff. So they hail from Wolfgram's home state. They're all very well known in his home state, but now they're at Michigan, a high-end blue blood P4 program with a very recognizable brand, a lot of prestige, a lot of tradition, and a winning formula. There was a winning formula that exists at Michigan, or that has existed at Michigan, I should say, and there is a winning formula that has existed at Utah. And so whether or not that formula more resembles what has traditionally made Michigan great, or whether it more resembles what Kyle Whittingham has been able to do for 2 decades at Utah, Michigan's not going anywhere. And they got a little bit of a jump start on Oklahoma in Wolfgram's recruitment. And so the Sooners are, I'll put it this way, they've got some catch-up work to do, especially because his official visit slate is already super full. I think he's got 6, maybe 7 official visits already scheduled. And so in order to get a seat at the table with that guy, you're going to have to move quickly and decisively, and you're going to have to make strong initial impressions, and you're going to have to do enough sight unseen, in all likelihood, that he is comfortable bumping some other school from his official visit slate and replacing it with Oklahoma. Will that happen? Can that happen? We shall see. The good news is, if he doesn't wind up in Oklahoma's class, the Sooners should be just fine, because they've been going hard for quite a while after a couple of other key edge targets in Miles Smith from the state of Michigan and Samuel Nelson, Matthew's younger brother, from the state of Arkansas. Okay, 1 segment down, 2 to go here on Locked In. It is a Thursday. It is the Parker Show. Parker Thune, Parker Lane here with you. Hit us up in the First Liberty Bank text line, 405-651-3439. Much more to come. Keep it right here on The Ref.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
At Lander CDJR of Norman, it's the Declaration of Deals. Pick any new 2026 Ram Light Duty Crew Cab Bighorn or Laramie with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, or any new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Gladiator or Grand Cherokee in stock, and we're giving you big dealer discounts and 0% financing for 60 months with no payments for 90 days. Shop LanderCDJRNorman.com for straightforward internet pricing with no special add-ons when you get here. 0% financing must finance with Stellantis Financial for well-qualified buyers.
When the thunder rolls in this spring,
Riverwind is where you want to be.
Enjoy classic table games like blackjack and roulette.
Or your choice of nearly 3,000 of your favorite electronic games.
we'll bring the best food, drinks, and service right to your seat.
We're giving away $80,000 in Rain or Shine Riches every Friday in April.
So play with your wild card all month long, and you could win big.
Only at Riverwind Casino.
Entrepreneurs and More Norman in South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. More Norman Technology Center's workforce and economic development team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, More Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about More Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu.
Hi everybody, Toby Rowland here for one of my favorite places to golf, the Trails Golf Club in Norman. The Trails offers great golf activities for the entire family, men's and ladies golf association events, summer junior golf for the kids, plus club fittings throughout the year. The Trails also has great family social events, monthly special dinners, plus holiday brunches and catering. When you're looking for the perfect place to golf, check out the Trails Golf Club in Norman. Contact Zane Alexander today at 405-364-3790 or visit trailsgolf.com.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it expanding your balance. Spend it expanding your mind. Spend it wondering what comes next. Spend it trusting that God has a plan. Spend it taking small steps in your own life. Spend it making a big impact on someone else's. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
Are you looking for luxury apartments for rent in Norman? The Falls at Brookhaven offers stunning apartments and a well-maintained, calm atmosphere. Enjoy our landscaping, a swim in the pool, or take your pet for a walk in one of our 2 dog parks. Our spacious outdoor areas and state-of-the-art amenities will make this new home feel like a resort. All this can be right outside of your door when you live at the Falls at Brookhaven. Call our locally owned and operated community at 405-701-8233 or go online to thefallsatbrookhaven.com to view our spacious floor plans. Looking for a fun and adventurous way to spend the summer? Join the Sooner Theater for an unforgettable summer camp experience. The Sooner Theater has 2-week half-day sessions for students entering kindergarten through 7th grade. Whether your child loves acting, dancing, singing, stage makeup, or more, these camps have something for everyone. With sessions in June and July, your child can explore creativity, make new friends, and have a blast performing on stage for friends and family. Don't miss out. Sign up now for a summer full of fun and adventure through the performing arts. Visit SoonerTheater.org to learn more and register today. Have you tried Coupe 66? It's a light, easygoing lager inspired by the history of the Mother Road. Join us in commemorating 100 years of Route 66 at Coupe Elwork's 17th birthday party. Enjoy an afternoon of food trucks, mechanical bull riding, karaoke, and dozens of specialty beers. This event is 21 and over and takes place May 9th from 1 to 5 p.m. For tickets, visit CoupeElworks.com. Coupe Elworks, the official craft beer of the Ref.
It's locked in here on the Ref. Parker Thune, Parker Lane, here with you today. Grayson Singleton will be back on Monday, but it's Parker Squared for the next 2 days. On the First Liberty Bank text line, we're hanging with you. 405-651-3439 is how you send your text our way. David the Waffle Man. What an awesome moniker. David the Waffle Man asks, is there any recruits not committed to Oklahoma that could flip to Oklahoma? First things first, David, I have to know, why do they call you David the Waffle Man? I myself love waffles, so I'm very interested. I'm very intrigued to hear the backstory here. But as to your question about recruits not committed that could flip down the line, I think this is part of the reason why Oklahoma is working so hard to get so many additions to the 2027 cycle early in the process. It's why they're trying so hard to accelerate everything and have the overwhelming majority of an entire class locked in before or by official visit season in the summer, because this sets you up in such a fashion, Mr. Lane, as to be able to focus all of your time and energy, August through November at the tail end of the recruiting cycle, in potentially luring away some of the top commits from other programs. And to answer your question directly, David, yes, I know for a fact, Oklahoma doesn't have any names specifically in mind yet, but I know for a fact that part of the calculus in that building is we're going to have 25 plus by the time the season rolls around, which they absolutely will. We're going to have 25 plus commits, and we're going to spend most of the fall chipping away at guys that made the decision to commit elsewhere and seeing if they want to circle back around with us, much like they did with Jaden Petit last year. And boy, has that already paid dividends. I know he hasn't done anything on Saturdays yet. He's yet to play an actual game at Oklahoma, but how about the video OU football posted to Twitter yesterday where Jaden Petit is head-topping Jacoby Johnson, who is a senior and a really good defensive back in his own right, and all 6'4" and 220 pounds of true freshman Jaden Petit picked that ball clean off Jacoby Johnson's helmet.
I think it's going to be very impressive. I will say this. I can't speak for certain, and whenever push does come to shove whenever we eventually reach right before the season when, the war games starts to break out, right, the sort of who's doing what under the table, who's sort of sneaking notes to who, I would be shocked if we don't at least flip one recruit in that time. But this game has been going on forever. I don't think that this is a product of NIL. I think that every coach that is in the SEC right now knows what's happening, knows how to play the game, knows how to sort of sell something better than a team that already has a commitment. A lot can change between a commitment or even this point in the year. And when we get to the point where the visits are going on and the games are getting ready to get started and, next thing you know, a little birdie's whispering in your ear, hey, maybe the grass is greener on the other side. And a lot of people like to listen to that, Parker. A lot of people are really tempted by the other side.
Well, and I think part of the I think maybe an unspoken assumption when that's the type of strategy you're adopting as an institution, leveraging for flips later on in the cycle. The unspoken assumption therein is that you're going to win football games in the fall. And there is that belief in the building at Oklahoma, as there should be when you look at this roster. They think they're going to win football games in the fall. They think they're going to outpace many of their peer programs across the country. And when that happens, you set yourself up very well to be able to pull off a few late surprises. We don't have to look any further than what they did at wide receiver down the stretch in 2026. Mentioned Jaden Petit. He had committed over the summer to Wisconsin, which is a terrible place to commit if you're a wide receiver. And he committed at the time under the impression that he was going to change things up there. And he was going to be the first big thing at wide receiver that the Badgers have had in years and years and years and years. And maybe he could have done that, but when he saw what that product looked like on the field last fall, he quickly realized, man, it's probably not a good idea to commit to a school and to a staff that I don't know if these are the same guys I'm going to be playing for by my sophomore year. They all might be out of a job by then.
Or even the fact that Wisconsin was a program that had some of the most money funneled into recruiting this last year. Just the whispers through the grapevine that the Badgers may be making a push financially for a lot of pieces trying to implement a very specific game plan. When money gets involved, it's a lot harder to justify sometimes changing strategy just because of sunk cost fallacy. And I think that, as a young player, the writing can be on the wall that, hey, maybe this was the case 6 months ago, but it's $13 million later or whatever it is. That's not an official number. That's speculation. $13 million later invested in, the offensive line, the tight ends, the running backs. It might change your tune a little bit. I don't think it's rare or even unjustified to flip at that point.
Talked about Jaden Petit. He wasn't the only wide receiver that Oklahoma flipped last fall, because Josiah Rogers was committed to Penn State for the longest time. He had been committed for over a year. And we know what happened. James Franklin got canned. Rogers kind of unofficially hit the open market. Never decommitted from Penn State until he announced his new commitment to Oklahoma. But at the time, he said, I'm going to stay committed to Penn State, but I'll listen if other schools want to hit me up. And Oklahoma did. And less than 3 weeks after Rogers got the OU offer, he was in the Sooners class. And that was that. Down the stretch, the Sooners engaged with Dane Bathurst, who at the time was committed to Duke. He decommitted shortly after he got the OU offer, wound up signing with the Sooners. The biggest of them was probably Jonathan Hatton, because he had been committed to Oklahoma at one point in his recruitment. Backed off that pledge, locked in with Texas A&M, and he was done. And that was supposed to be it. And Oklahoma started to chip away, and chip away, and chip away. And DeMarco Murray stayed the course. And 2 weeks until signing day, Hatton came back around to Oklahoma. And he signed with the Sooners. And so even though it maybe wasn't, like, all of those flips were spaced out enough that it really didn't feel like an avalanche. Like, oh, here comes Oklahoma. Wrecking shop late in the cycle. That's kind of what happened. It just was spaced out enough that it didn't really all feel like it was one on top of another, and it was this massive trend. And it could be similar this fall, or it could be the type of thing where Oklahoma, kind of like Oregon has developed a reputation for doing in recent years, they're flipping 2, 3, 4 guys on signing day itself. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but what I do know is the majority of Oklahoma's effort this fall is going to be concentrated on flip targets in the 2027 class. They're obviously going to be looking to lay the groundwork for early commits in the 28 class and starting to build relationships with 29s, all that good stuff. But as far as the 2027 cycle is concerned, the vision is for Oklahoma to have 25-plus high school commits solidly locked in by the time the season starts, and then you can push all your chips to the middle for 3-4 premier players that are committed to other schools that maybe you don't project the same level of success that Oklahoma's going to experience. And you can kind of compare what you're doing to what they're doing and hopefully communicate to the recruit in question that the fit is better at a place like Oklahoma than it is at, wherever they're committed to at the time.
I think it's difficult, though, especially because as we enter this NIL era and as the schools with a lot of money have figured out how to use that cash to win, not looking back at Texas A&M like 4 years ago where they dropped multi-millions of dollars on the best recruiting class of all time and it just didn't pan out, but schools and coaching staffs are smarter about it now. And because of that, I feel like these players understand to some degree at least that, hey, if Texas Tech, if Texas A&M, if these big money schools are offering me the bag, it's not just because I've got 5 stars next to my name. It's because they've seen what happens whenever you do just throw money willy-nilly. They really do want me. Now, here is the tricky part. Where are you going to be on the depth chart? Or where at that school are you going to be utilized?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a speedster wide receiver and they really just want a possession guy right now? You may be the wide receiver hole that they need, but is it a good fit? I think that this is a coaching staff at Oklahoma that is so good at talent evaluation that they can effectively sell their pitch to those that may have already committed. I think especially guys that, are going out of state or guys that haven't expressed any interest other than, hey, the money is really nice. I think that those players are still out there, and I think that they just need a well put together vision to sort of move them in a different direction, in this case in favor of the Sooners.
It's easier to overcome any apprehensions about immediate playing time and your immediate slot on the depth chart when, at a place like Oklahoma, you have demonstrable, concrete proof, empirical data that suggests you are going to play the best guy at the best position regardless of how old they are. And Oklahoma can do this because they have done this. Last season, they were starting 2 true freshmen for much of the season on the offensive line in Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje. For the last 2 seasons, one of their starting cornerbacks has been a true freshman. First, it was Eli Bowen in 2024. Then it was Cortland Guillory last season. And to that point, had a great conversation yesterday with a 4-star defensive back from the state of California by the name of Jordan Hicks that was in town for an unofficial visit earlier this week. And the thing he said really stood out to him about Oklahoma is that he could come in, and if he were to commit to OU, he could join the program with no preconceived notions on the staff's end about where he fell in the pecking order because they're wholly committed, as they have shown time and again, to putting the best guy on the field, even if that is a true freshman, a complete newcomer. And so he said, look, I know that if I go to Oklahoma and I'm the best guy for the job and I'm outperforming my teammates in that position group, I'm going to see the field because that's how they do things. There's no seniority complex. They play the best guy.
And I think that especially is more valuable in this day and age because of, again, we go back to sunk cost fallacy, the obligation of money. If you're paying a wide receiver $3 million to come into your program and you have the courage, may not be the right word, but the stones to say to him, hey, you're just not cutting the cheese, brother. You're going to be wide receiver 3 in the meantime. We're going to bring in this freshman. Brent Venables is about that life. He is a guy that football is winning, and you want to win as much as you possibly can. He's not afraid to put a guy on the back seat for, a couple of games just to get him in the right headspace. And I think that sort of honesty is refreshing and valuable to a young recruit who If your motivation is playing time, and it takes a special kind of player, especially in skill positions, to go in and say, hey, I'm going to be the dude day one. And if I know that if I can prove that, then I'm going to be paid for it. Maybe not paid in terms of cash, but paid in terms of playing time.
One more text before we hit a quick break. Outlaw Devil wanted to know, on the other hand, is Oklahoma worried about anyone flipping to another school? At the moment, no. I think the two guys about which there could be some justifiable concern amongst the fans because of their past flirtations with other schools would be Trayvon Hall, the 3-star wide receiver out of Tuscaloosa, and that is Parker's old stomping grounds.
That's correct.
And then 4-star running back Keldred Ben out of Montgomery, Texas. Ben has never actually visited anywhere else, but anybody that's followed his recruitment knows that he's certainly heard out other programs, and he hasn't succumbed to their advances yet in the sense that he's agreed to show up on campus, but he's definitely been listening.
The ears have been open.
Yeah, and for Trayvon Hall, he has taken other visits and may take other visits during OV season, but I'll say this, and I asked this question very pointedly to a good source the other day and was told, man, inside that building, there's not a lot of concern right now about Keldred Ben and Trayvon Hall and keeping those guys locked into the OU class in the long run, which didn't surprise me a ton as far as Ben, because it feels like every single time one school mounts a push, all OU has to do is get back on the phone with Ben, have a carbon copy of the "if you're committed to us conversation, and he cancels that visit. I was a little bit more surprised to hear the confidence that was expressed with regard to Trayvon Hall, because it is hard to believe that a kid that's from Tuscaloosa, that has an Alabama offer and an Ole Miss offer and an Auburn offer and a Florida offer, and at one point planned official visits and may still follow through on official visits to all 4 of those places, it is really hard to believe that he is going to honor an early commitment to Oklahoma all the way until signing day, but the Sooner staff is confident that he's going to do just that. So I'm just a messenger, people. I'm not making you any promises, but OU ain't worried about those two right now. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line. Final segment of Locked In is on deck. Parker Thune, Parker Lane, here with you in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. Hit us up. We'll be back next.
The home of Sooner fans. Home for Sooner recruiting coverage. Home of your Sooner game day voices. Home of the best pre- and post-game coverage. Join the movement. Download the free KRF app now to listen anywhere, anytime. We are where die-hard Sooner fans listen.
Hey there, Ref Army, it's Dorinoka, name coming in. Host of the Dorinoka Show and lead anchor of the SEC Network. Catch Josh Helmer and myself every weekday, 9 to noon, as we'll talk everything OU and the SEC. No better way to listen to us, 9 to noon, than by downloading the KREF app, powered by Warren Cat. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store, search for KREF, and you'll never miss a show, no matter what, no matter where you go. That's the KREF app, presented by Warren Cat. Whatever the job, whatever it takes.
At Lewis Jewelers, we've been designing and making engagement rings for nearly 40 years. My brother Glenn and I opened our first store when I was 19 and he was 21 years old. I suppose that means we've been doing something right to have lasted this long. Making jewelry was our passion then, and it still is today. We take great pride in the product that we make and offer to you, knowing that it will outlive us for many generations. Jewelry is our only business. You know us and you trust us. That trust is built upon the tens of thousands of satisfied customers that have come before you. I invite you to visit us at Lewis Jewelers. We would love the opportunity to make your engagement ring and become your jeweler. We're on I-35 and more for the ring that she will wear for a lifetime. Wouldn't you rather say it came from Lewis Jewelers?
Do you have gardening or planting projects coming up? Don't forget to call OE first to avoid hitting buried utility lines that could lead to costly repairs. OEC and OEC Fiber depend on underground cables and lines to power and connect over 100,000 homes and businesses across central Oklahoma. This vital infrastructure helps ensure we can continue providing reliable, safe service. Please keep yourself and others safe by calling OKI, that's 811, before digging this spring. OEC and OEC Fiber, the power of connection.
At Norman Hyundai, we're excited to welcome you to our brand new state-of-the-art facility on the Mile of Cars in Norman. Bigger, brighter, and built with your comfort in mind, it's designed to make every visit easy. Whether you're shopping for a new Hyundai or stopping in for service, browse our full inventory, value your trade, or schedule your next appointment anytime at normanhyundai.com. Then come see us in person and experience the difference for yourself. Norman Hyundai, serving you and nothing else.
No matter what a strong future looks like to you, you can start building it with a home equity line of credit. Hi, I'm Adam Hurst with Armstrong Bank. There's no time like the present to take advantage of your home equity. From home renovations to wedding expenses, vacations to new cars, the future is yours with a HELOC from Armstrong Bank. Visit armstrong.bank/HELOC to get started. Armstrong Bank. Strength runs in our family. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Are you dealing with chronic pain, back pain, joint pain, old sports injuries, tendinitis, plantar fasciitis, stubborn muscle strains? Well, you don't have to live with it. At OK Theta and Wellness, we use innovative technologies like StemWave shockwave therapy to improve your overall well-being. StemWave stimulates your body's natural healing response to help reduce pain and restore movement. No surgery and no downtime. Let OK Theta and Wellness find a life-changing solution for you. Ready for relief? Visit oktheta.com today to learn more.
Are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
One more segment as we wind down to the finish line here on Locked In. Parker Thune alongside Parker Lane today, who is in for Grayson Singleton. Been a lot of fun through almost 3 hours of radio here. A 918 listener on the First Liberty Bank text line, which is available to all of you at 405-651-3439, says, "Hi, Parker and Grayson." Well, it's actually Parker and Parker, sir.
That's all right.
Come on.
I'll forgive you.
No Parker erasure here. Can you elaborate on the Owen Hollenbeck situation? If you're saying he won't see the field, but Noah Best could very well be our starter next season, what's up with Hollenbeck? I guess that's in reference to the conversation that Grayson and I had on yesterday's show about Noah Best and his early trajectory. And, yeah, man, like if you made me bet who Oklahoma's starting center is next fall, come 2027, I'd be tempted to bet on Noah Best, even with him only having been here for 4 months at this point. At 6'4", 312 pounds, he's a guy that just has a ton of football acumen, ton of strength, ton of athleticism, and he's adjusted and he's arrived ahead of the curve for Oklahoma to the point where he may push for a spot in the 2 deep right off the bat, depending on how much time Caleb Nita, the Western Kentucky transfer that was expected to be the backup center, winds up missing. And so, look, I'm not saying Owen Hollenbeck is chopped liver and he'll never play here. And he played guard in high school, so, I mean, center's not the only position he could play. He was recruited to Oklahoma primarily to play center, but I do think that Noah Best, as it stands right now, has developed a bit of an edge on Owen Hollenbeck to be the heir apparent to Michaela and potentially Nita for a year at Oklahoma. That's going to be interesting, though, because Jake Michaela is done at the end of 2026. This is his last year in an Oklahoma uniform. In 2027, Caleb Nita will be a redshirt senior and a very experienced player at that point in time. He started out at Virginia Tech. He's been at Western Kentucky. Now he's at Oklahoma. He's well-traveled. He's well-seasoned. But he's also about 6'2", 295. And so Noah Best is just a lot bigger, a lot broader, a lot beefier. And I think he offers some athletic upside that doesn't exist with Nita. Now, you cannot undersell the importance of cognitive readiness at the center position. And for instance, that's why Troy Everett was so valuable, even though he, like Nita, was like 6'2", 295. But he knew how to play that position, and that is a position that you have to know how to play.
Oh, my goodness. And that's the point I was going to try to make, is that you don't have to be the biggest guy. If anybody on your line is going to be undersized, you want it to be your center. As long as he's light on his feet and he has a good head on his shoulders, that is all you need. And I know that it can sometimes be easy to fall into the physicality game. And not that I'm saying that Best isn't those things, but I have seen countless battles at center over the course of, the last 15 years, whatever, of really following collegiate football that have had a size advantage, that have gotten beat out when it was all said and done.
Creed Humphrey didn't start as a redshirt freshman in 2018. Y'all remember that? He closed the season as the starter, didn't begin the season as the starter. Jonathan Alvarez did. A lot of y'all forget that Jonathan Alvarez even existed, but
I'm in that group, by the way.
Yeah. Creed Humphrey did not start the 2018 season as Oklahoma's starter at center. Denver from Indiana says he's struggling to understand the offense. And no, it's not necessarily that, Denver. Sometimes it's not something you're doing wrong. Sometimes it's just, man, this guy is a little bit better. This guy has something that you don't have, and there's no shame in that. And on the offensive line in particular, you have 5 starting spots, and you have 0 rotation whatsoever. At least you should have 0 rotation whatsoever. And so, in a group where in any given year you may have 14 to 18 scholarship offensive linemen, you're going to have 5 of them, and hopefully no more than 5 of them, that see the field.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you will probably wind up deploying guy number 6, guy number 7, maybe guy number 8. But you're not digging any deeper than that most years.
You don't see very efficient teams that are still trying to lock down the offensive line in week 6.
Yes.
That you either have it by that point or you don't, and it's a problem.
Let me put it another way. Situationally, you will see a third-string running back or a third-string wide receiver or even a third-string tight end on the field. If you see a third-string offensive lineman on the field at any point, something has gone horribly wrong.
Multiple times, in fact. You're not just testing it out. You can put in a third down back on first or second down and expect him to maybe have some limited success. Hey, maybe he'll go for 3 or 4 a carry. If you have your third-string offensive lineman in, it's because your quarterback is going to wake up tomorrow and he is going to be a bruised puddle of maybe not even fully functioning human being.
Oh, Brady from Kansas says, any position groups OU is done recruiting for 27, and which position groups are they attacking the most? Wide receivers? I could see Oklahoma adding 1 more wide receiver, but they have 3 committed. Graydon Howell, Damari DeJean, Trayvon Hall. That's really all you need, especially having brought in 4 in the 26 class. I would say the position at which Oklahoma is being the most aggressive right now is edge, and I think that case is bolstered by the recent offer out to Uhila Wolfgram. And there are some positions right now that are close to completely settled. Even offensive line, where Oklahoma would like to add at least 2 more. We got a pretty good idea that Gus Corsair is going to be the 6th commit on the offensive line for Oklahoma, and they're going to take their shot with Brian Swanson, and who knows what happens from there. But tight ends, it's Ben Kolar or bust at this point. Probably only going to expand the board if and when they get a no from Kolar. So there's not a lot that hangs in the balance right now, and not a lot of positions outside of edge where it feels like Oklahoma is really casting a particularly wide net right now in the 27 class. KW918 says, will you all tell Bill Biedenbow that, please? Playing musical chairs in this league ain't it. Bill hasn't played musical chairs in the past unless he's needed to. And there were a couple instances where he needed to. In 2023, for instance, he was very actively trying to figure out midseason who he could trust to be his starting, left guard? Left guard. And they tried Troy Everett there. Who the heck else did they try at that position? There was Savion Byrd. They tried Savion Byrd there. And by the midpoint of the season, you know who Bill Bedenbaugh marched out there in the Cotton Bowl as a true freshman to try and hold serve on the offensive line against Tavondre Sweat and that Texas wrecking crew up front? Caden Green. And boom, he was your starter at left guard for the rest of the year. He was the solution. And so there are certain times at which Bedenbaugh will be compelled to seek out a solution, but he's not somebody that rotates guys just for the sake of rotating guys. That's never been who he is.
No, it goes back to the whole sort of like if you are shuffling the chairs on the Titanic, that's exactly what it is. If you're shuffling the offensive line, then there's only one direction you're going, baby, and it is not up.
Glenn from Nashville says, Jonathan Alvarez was an underrated utility offensive lineman. He's also one I wouldn't mind seeing on the OKC UFL team. Boom, there we go.
Full circle moment.
Yep, okay, Jonathan Alvarez, pencil him in to the OKC roster.
I don't think we went over names. You got a name for that team, by the way?
I like Bison. That's been thrown around a lot on Twitter.com. I like Bison. Joe Castiglione Jr. did get crucified on Twitter earlier, and I know he didn't mean anything by it, but he did suggest the Oklahoma City Bombers in reference to Tinker Air Force Base. However, when you hear Oklahoma City Bombers, I would say a very small minority is thinking Tinker.
Yeah.
They are instead thinking of what happened here in 1996, which for obvious reasons, I don't think Bombers is going to be the fit for the OKC UFL franchise.
I like Tornadoes. I think Tornadoes actually has some weight behind it, I think.
I can dig it. Past My Prime asks, any update on Case Alexander? There's not much of an update there. I mean, it's Oklahoma and Penn State at the top. It probably will be Oklahoma and Penn State at the top. There are a couple other teams that are kind of lurking in the backdrop, looking to make a charge during OV season. Texas Tech is on that list. Kansas State is on that list. But it's really about OU and Penn State at this point. And it's very hard to tell right now whether that kid is really leaning towards either school. There's a case for Penn State, the family connection, playing in a league in the Big Ten that is very linebacker friendly, and there's certainly a case for Oklahoma. You get to play for Brent Venables. You get to stay close to home, 20 minutes from home. I don't know what Case Alexander is going to do, but I would be very surprised if he goes anywhere outside of Oklahoma or Penn State. I'm just not really sure I can tell you right now which of those two schools I favor or that he even favors. I'm not even sure he favors one of the two right now. He's going to OV to both. Those are the only two OVs he has set.
Yeah, it'll be one of the two.
Brady from Kansas says, OKC Scissor Tails. That's not menacing enough for me. Sorry, not for a football team. OKC Scissor Tails would be like for a minor league baseball operation.
Yeah,
that might make some sense.
I also don't like the Lightning, as controversial as that may be. I think that it screams too much like, oh, we're a real sports city, instead of just like each team being its own.
We're a real weather city.
Well, I mean, maybe, but Tornadoes is cool because it doesn't have anything to do with thunder or lightning.
And we do get tornadoes around here.
That's what they tell me.
Lane in California says, respectively correcting you, Parker, the OKC bombing was in 1995. Oh, my apologies, Lane. Sorry, did I say 1996?
Yep.
1995. But yes, my parents were in college here at OU at the time. And as they tell it, they could feel the ground shake, even where they were down in Norman from the explosion in OKC. A 580 listener says OKC Outlaws. I don't mind that. A little bit of alliteration.
Also, I like the imagery that I think you could come up with that name. I think there's a lot of ways you could go to sort of push a brand if you go with the Outlaws.
Might the imagery be too similar to the Renegades imagery, though?
Then that's the question, right?
Take my strong hand, says the OKC Red Cedar Pollens.
Now that is the true Oklahoma experience.
I actually love that, Kyle from Salasaw, the Oklahoma Oilers. I don't know that you could get clearance to use the Houston Oilers old color scheme and some logo that resembles theirs, but I think the Houston Oilers have one of the best logos and one of the best color schemes in the history of American sports. I love that idea. I've always loved the idea, too, of if you could get clearance to use the Oilers scheme and their logo to do some sort of a blackout alternate with that baby blue and red. I love that idea. OKC Oilers might get my vote. I don't really care. I could dig the Bison or the Outlaws or whatever, but Oilers might be it. Just be probably a legal battle to get the requisite permissions to adopt that. All right, folks. That's it for Locked In. That is it for 3 hours of the Parker and Parker experience here on The Ref. Coming up next, two men who do not share a name, Teddy Lehman and Tyler McComas, have you for the next 3 hours on The Rush. Keep it right here on the home of Sooner fans, and we will do it all again tomorrow. Same time, same place. Take it easy.